Hey, what's going on? Podcast Nation, is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Strategy with Jason. I'm here at NADA 2022, the Matador booth, with the one, the only, the oh-so-famous, Ms. Dario Dulic.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
What's up, man?
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Been a while.
2 years.
Feels a lot longer than that, you know?
2 years. It's hard to imagine, but it's been 2 years.
Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Time flies.
Well, hey, thanks for taking the time to jam with me, by the way.
Yeah.
I like to start off all these podcasts with an origin story because, I'm always fascinated how people get started in the automotive industry.
Yeah.
So, Dario, how did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Yes, I've been in automotive my whole life, basically. I started on technology side, originally from Europe. So I founded a used cars website over there, similar to cars.com, Auto Trader, right? I built that from ground up. It became one of the most popular websites. Then I moved to the States, worked for 7 years at a Toyota store, did everything from, back-end digital marketing, overhauled IT infrastructure, changed the DMSs, CRMs, everything digital, I touched it, right?
You touched it? All right.
And then I went back to my roots to software. So now I'm, on the other side, making software for dealers and doing all the custom stuff they need.
Talk about software. Like I said, we're at NADA,
Yep.
and it's crazy because it's been 2 years. So we're coming back after almost kind of like a 2-year break, and it's just crazy to see some of the advancements. Some of the tech spaces and the solutions kind of here at NADA. I'm curious, what has caught your eye so far?
Well, really what caught my eye is dealer policy.
Yeah.
Right? That's something that I did not expect to see in the insurance space. Like that was like, wow,
It makes sense though, right?
Yeah, it makes sense, and I didn't see it coming, but you see those like little, small insurance agency popping up in dealerships, but they just went and took it, virtual basically. So that was like a big wow for me, like at this show. Other than that, I obviously I didn't get a chance to, see every booth, but it's all pretty much the same, It's just new iteration of stuff, and going an extra inch. But at the end of the day, the way I'm looking at it, dealers are still, getting, sidetracked into, OEM programs, and they don't have.
You mean the OEM handcuffs?
Yeah, and it's all nice and dandy, but you cannot pick what you want because you're forced into something that is maybe not a great fit for you. So, and it's obviously it's not the case for every dealership out there, but for some it is, and. That's always in the back of my head because I went through that with some of my software. And I was like we're not doing that. Like we're not going to go that route.
Yep.
We're going to go something different. We're going to do custom solutions, and we're not going to care about the OEM approvals or anything like that. And we're going to do our thing.
Build it and they will come scenario, right?
Yeah. If it's good, they'll come. If it's not, they won't. So.
Now the one thing I noticed going through the show this year is there's a lot more what I'm calling operational tech. And not as much marketing tech as I've seen. Before, I would say 5 years ago, everybody had some type of marketing technology they were bringing here. Now I'm seeing a whole lot more of like just deep integrated operational, like here, let me fix this little element, let me fix this little element. But those little things add up to big dollars or big opportunities when it comes to dealership. I'm curious from your perspective, where do you see kind of the future of like operational technology going?
Yeah, it's definitely happening, and dealers are, I know some dealers are building their own solutions, right? Because they could not find they cannot find a solution that they need for their operations, right? So definitely there is a need. I don't know how much it's going to be, one size fits all, on the operational side, but I still see those marketing companies with MarkTech around, and familiar names. Maybe a digital dealer, you see more of that flavor. NADA is probably more focused on the whole picture, and that's why we see more operational side. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, AI is gonna jump into everything.
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about that
Yeah.
because I've seen more companies here with AI either in their name or in their brochure or a part of their pitch. And
Part of the pitch.
I love AI. I truly do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm a little nervous when I hear so many companies using the word AI. I mean, there's some amazing, beautiful machine learning solutions out there. With a sprinkle of AI in there, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
But where do you think? Because I think we're just scratching the surface of
Yeah.
what AI is for the automotive. I mean, just scratching it.
Yeah.
Where do you see like the direction of the next 5 years with AI in the automotive space?
No, it's gonna grow, and it's gonna. I think the companies are gonna differentiate themselves soon, and I think a lot of companies are using that as a buzzword, and
Yes.
they don't have an AI, they have an algorithm, right? It's called an algorithm. That's what they have, right? So they're just using AI for the algorithm, so it's not true AI. You have algorithm, you have machine learning, you have AI, right? So where are we, in those, with those companies, and what do you really have? And obviously they're not going to disclose it, so it's just, marketing gimmicks. But some companies do have something, and they're on good track, and they're building some stuff, so it's going to be interesting. And at the end of the day, results are going to, show, what's happening.
For
And,
sure.
I've heard some good results from some CRM companies that are utilizing some level of machine learning or algorithms to automate stuff that's been really beneficial for dealers, right?
Yes.
And if you multiply that by 20, 40 rooftops, now you're talking about some real savings and real operational difference. And I read somewhere that over the next 5 to 10 years, companies that do not utilize AI in their business are going to have 20% less revenue.
All right, I can see that.
20% less
I can see
revenue.
that.
So it's going to be part of every business, automotive, non-automotive. It's happening. It's coming.
Where do you think in automotive dealerships AI will play kind of the biggest opportunity AI has in an automotive operations?
Well, something that we don't see today. I think it's going
Alright.
to come where it's going to analyze the business, and I didn't see a solution like that yet. But when you have some decision making assisted with AI, for big groups that you cannot really comprehend what's going on in all the pieces, right?
For sure.
And AI can spot that. So I think that's going to be really groundbreaking. Now you have the conversational AIs with chatbots and service and F&I
Yeah,
stuff.
the conversational AIs make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
And I can see that, and I see some of the operational stuff. I mean, I know there's some companies out there that are working like inventory type AI, putting out like predictive models of what they need to order, what they should be ordering, what the market actual like values are, what market inventory levels are, and then kind of spitting back out like, hey, this is what you should be focusing on.
But that can be done with the algorithm, right?
Yes.
That's
So let's talk
not-
about that. What's the difference between an AI algorithm and just AI?
So, full disclosure, I'm
Yeah.
not an AI expert, right?
Alright, fair enough.
I'm not a
What do you
machine
know?
learning. I know enough to be dangerous.
There we go.
But algorithm is really structural, right? You set the rules, what's going to happen. There's a set, if-then criteria, and it can be really robust,
Yep.
right? And it can do almost, stuff that, it cannot do what AI can do, but for a purpose of example you just said, you could do that with an algorithm, right? I mean, you have to predict a lot of stuff and have a lot of input in it, right? But you don't need an AI to make those kind of decisions and have that, market suggestion for the.
Yeah, I think on the operation side, we're still a little ways away. Now, to your point, the conversation side, I think there's still some really cool things that are scratching the surface right now, but over the next 5 years are going to exponentially get better.
5 to 10 years, definitely. I don't know, 5.
For everyone out there watching, listening, maybe they don't know what we're talking about. We're talking about like conversation, automation, or AI.
Yep.
Like, how would you describe that?
For conversationally?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, everybody used it, right? If you go to some website and you start the chat, and you've been chatting with the bots, right? So it just depends on what level of, smartness is that bot, right? So
Just how smart it is.
Yeah. Sometimes it's gonna be, you get frustrated and you close the browser, and sometimes you're like, this was better than the human. I got what I needed, done. So.
I think there's a lot of play, and I think especially after the last 24 months, dealers have really gotten used to doing a lot with a little.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a fair amount of people in the industry that don't want to go backwards in that. They want to maintain those level of efficiencies, and it seems to me that that's a great place to really kind of develop out additional efficiencies.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about efficiency. I mean, it's going to be productivity, right? So that's where that 20% is going to come, because if you're utilizing, software, let's call it software, right? And you're not going to rely on you're going to rely on humans, but they're just going to be more productive because they're going to be focusing their energy on, other burning issues. So
100%.
that's what's going to happen. It's going to increase the productivity, basically.
Now, you're working with some dealerships and creating their own tech, which I think is super cool. And I've seen more of that happen probably over the last 10 years than I think I ever saw prior to that. I mean, there's a lot of dealerships out there that, are looking what's on the market and available and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe we should build kind of something like that. And let's really take our custom process, work backwards towards the technology, and build our own tech. What are you seeing that dealers are very much so interested in creating themselves?
Yeah, I mean, the latest project we did, was custom parts e-commerce store. The dealer wanted to have, full integration with their DMS that nobody, provided. They wanted to have, full control from start to end through their shipping, through their warehouse, everything covered, right? So it's like it's like a warehouse full, e-commerce solution, right? And they couldn't find a solution for that, right? So there's great companies out there that service, small, dealerships that have, parts stores. But if you have a big operation, now that's a problem, right? So they realize that they need to build their own solution. We build, service scheduling apps for dealerships, right? The barrier for entry into tech now, it's lower than ever.
For sure.
Right? And it costs much, much less than most dealerships think. So I think like any franchise dealers can afford a custom solution definitely today, They just need, to put some work to it, right? Get some of their, smartest people on it, or hire somebody, that can provide it to them, right? But definitely they should be thinking about that. And I mean, I would go as far as like, they need to set up their own infrastructure. Not necessarily own it. If they own it, great, but have their own infrastructure that's independent, separate from whatever, the mandates are, right? And I mean, listen, it's happening, right? So Toyota, they just built a great solution, but it doesn't cover used cars.
Yep.
Well, guess where the dealers are making most money now?
Used cars.
Right? So they came out with a solution, they pushed it over, they're taking over the website, but sorry, used cars are not covered.
Isn't that ridiculous?
So that just tells you, like, they're going to eventually have it, right? But right now, today, when it's happening, and it's happening for a while, and it's going to happen for a while, used cars are not covered. So you have to, pay an extra for the solution that you're going to use for your used cars inventory. So that just tells you a hint of, like, what can happen in the future if you don't own your software and if you don't have control over what's happening, right? So set up your separate website, set up everything, be off the grid, right?
Be off the grid.
Be off the grid.
I like that.
And and you can do it. They can do it. So
well, look, it makes sense to me. It does, right? I mean, I have several dealers. I was just talking to one a couple weeks ago who's been on the same website platform for 18 years. 18 years.
They must have done a great job.
$1,000 a month. All right.
Grandfathered in.
$12,000 a year. All right, times 18 years. And if they walked right now?
0.
100%.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. No, and that's, and that's what it is, It's, the websites are simple, right?
Yep.
It's not rocket science
I think that's
anymore.
a great place for dealers to start. Don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, just set up. I mean, look, the big groups, they're doing it, right? Nobody realizes because it's a group website, right?
Yes.
So you're like, it goes under the radar, but, they're white labeling, badge engineering, some tools, that's fine, right? But you have these big groups that they have their websites that are really sort of independent, really, right?
Yep.
They are, because, they can do whatever they want on those websites. Nobody's forcing them anything to do, right?
No.
So the big guys are doing it. Mid-sized guy and small guy should be doing it,
100%.
So
100%.
that's my thought.
I think that's a great place for them to start.
And it's like life, right? I mean, you have to control infrastructure. If you don't control infrastructure, you're done, right?
But you're just always relying on others.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen you for a couple years.
Yeah.
So what's new with you, man?
Same old. First working out of the closet until kids figured out after like 3 months that I was in the closet,
You're
right?
in the closet.
Then I had to move out. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah, and then we were just banging. We were just working nonstop. It was crazy time. When just after the NADA, right? So
Yeah.
2 years ago, just everything went shut down, as everybody know, right? It was crazy time for us because everybody was looking for some online solutions. So it was crazy busy, and when you overlay our customization on that, like we were super busy. And after that, it kind of like calmed down a little bit.
Yep.
We started working on the new projects, and that's it.
That's awesome, man.
Just plowing it through.
Well, hey, I know we're towards the tail end of our time today, but for everybody out there that's watching and listening right now who may want to connect with you and have some of these conversations,
Yeah, definitely.
what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. They can find me on LinkedIn or just via website yoga.cars, and that's it.
Awesome. Hey, man, thanks for doing this today. It's been a lot of
Thank
fun.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.